Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Hello everyone and Katribu. I'm Francine Marquez and this afternoon we're with
Kathy Amit.
and welcome to PairFect. Good afternoon, Kat.
Hi, good
How are
afternoon.
you?
I'm good.
You look nice in
Yes, of
black.
course.
Yeah. Oh, we're missing my beautiful and ever gorgeous co-host, Miss Dina Sabalventura. She's on a quick break, but Dina, better come back tomorrow. You have another show to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Kat,
Yeah.
for our topic for today, what comes to mind when you think of Mapua?
I always think of it as top engineering and IT schools.
Tama.
School,
Ako
sorry.
naman, on my part, I think of Alvin Patrimonio. Kapanahunan ko kasi siya.
Of course, I still
Diba?
know Alvin
Yeah.
Patrimonio.
Yeah, by the way, Kat kasi is our next-gen editor. She does our campus news every Sunday for Daily Tribune. So that's why you're here with me.
Yes.
Ikaw ang ka-holding hands ko ngayon. Yeah, so today, our topic is quite interesting and our subject is a super genius person. Uh,
And I heard quite impressive.
yeah, kasi do you know that he was the first valedictorian of the Philippine Science High School? Tapos he also graduated magna cum laude in UP, University of the Philippines. Plus, he was the former dean of the UP College of Engineering, and he got his doctorate in engineering as a Fulbright Hays Scholar at the University of California in Berkeley. Grabe, no? Tapos he was also appointed administrator of the Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System. Super. What an achiever.
Yes.
And he brings a lot of good things to his school. So, everybody, Katribo, let's welcome Dr. Reynaldo Vea of Mapua University.
Good afternoon to you.
Hello, Doc. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Kamusta? Thank you for being our guest today. Tamang-tama kasi it's just the start of school season. No? It just
Yes.
opened Monday, October 5. So, Dr. Vea, how has it been since the pandemic? How is it personally? Do you show up in the university or are you mostly working from home?
Well, right now I'm mostly working from home. I go to school about once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time right after they lifted it when I was in the school more often. But, well, we're able to do most of our work from home, including all our employees. So it has worked out well for us. We're able to continue academic operations and administrative operations remotely. But if you think that it's been less busy, on the contrary, it's become busier under this situation because it actually has become much easier to organize and come to meetings, and we've been tackling a lot of issues, most of them related to what we're experiencing right now under the pandemic.
Dr. Vea, would you say you were prepared for the pandemic? Because you're one of the top IT schools and this pandemic is all about deep diving into the digital transformation.
Well, we were also caught by surprise like everyone else, but I would say that maybe we were a little bit better prepared to transition because we've been doing digital education or online education since 2012. We started with open learning management systems. Our faculty members were experimenting with them a lot, and we outgrew it after a while. So in 2017, we subscribed to an industrial strength learning management system, and we had trained our faculty members 100%, and we were almost also 100% on blended learning mode when the pandemic struck. By blended learning mode, we mean that we had combined elements of online education with elements of face-to-face or in-person education in our courses. In each course, we employ both. So we've been able to already flip the classroom where the students would be studying materials in electronic form before they come to class. And when in classes, in face-to-face sessions, we mostly deal with clarification issues and discussion of various topics. So we were doing that when the pandemic struck. Actually, that was our favored mode of delivery, which is blended, because it combines the best of both worlds. So when COVID happened, we had to shift rather quickly to fully online, and we had to forget about face-to-face like everyone else, and ramped up the production of electronic materials to accommodate a fully online mode of delivery. So we were just as surprised as everyone else, but our transition had rather been smooth, I would say. But we had encountered problems, mostly of connectivity but we've been able to institute policies, academic policies that have been able to, to address such connectivity issues. Mainly allowing our students more time to complete the requirements even beyond the term, so that they can get the full grade for the course. But these were for actually a small number of our students. But even if small, we consider that anyway we consider that an important issue that we had to solve. So yeah, we have transitioned to fully online. It's been accelerated. The process to fully online capability has been accelerated. But even before the pandemic, we have employed our online capability to deal with class suspending days, such as typhoon, flooding in Manila, Southeast Asian Summit, the procession in Quiapo. During these days, we go on what is known as Digital Day, where we hold our classes online in the same timetable of the day. So during prime time, for example, 10:30 to 12, we found that we were able to hold classes synchronously, simultaneously, massively, with 75 classes going on at the same time, involving some 4,000 students. That's the capability of our learning management system and of our faculty members. And we also have a version called the Digital Rush, where during the rush hour section, 7:30 to 9 in the morning, 4:30 to 6 in the evening, we offer our students the option of choosing a section of a particular course that is fully online. So they don't have to battle it out in Manila traffic. So we've been doing Digital Day and Digital Rush long before the pandemic happened. And so it was just an extension of, of enhancing this capability. And right before the pandemic, there was the Taal eruption, if you might recall. So our Digital Day actually expanded into Digital Week during the Taal eruption, and now it's Digital Months. It's been 6 months. Hard to believe, but that's how long we've been doing fully online.
Yes, Doc. That seems really you worked things out. You're set since 2012. You've prepared, and you said 2017 you observed the industrial strength LMS. So I think Mapua is really good to go with this transformation. But have you observed any virtual kinks during the opening day of the virtual school that you're trying to address?
Yes, well, we had to find a perfect blend of synchronous and asynchronous. By synchronous, we mean that the consumption of the educational material happens at the same time that it is produced, as in virtual lectures, as in Zoom meetings, or meetings using other teleconferencing means, no? And asynchronous, we mean the consumption of the material comes after the production of the material, as in a recorded video lecture or a PowerPoint file. It's produced first before it's consumed. In some cases, asynchronous is superior to synchronous mode, and vice versa. So we had to go through such an adjustment, because the easier thing to do was to actually move all the lectures to online. And aside from Zoom, our learning management system, or LMS, actually had or has that capability of collaborative work, including lectures, live lectures. So we use that, and in some instances, people would complain that they get tired of such lectures. But the advantage we have is that we're able to record such lectures. And for students who were not able to catch much of it, they can come back and view the lectures asynchronously. So yeah, so at the start we had to find the perfect balance of the delivery of online materials, and the students also, I think, they had to have some adjustments, and we gave them time to adjust because we realized that the difficulty of our students as well as our faculty and our officers was not only in that they had to move quickly to an online mode in academics, but we had personal and family issues to deal with at that time. Everybody had to make an adjustment at that time, and so we allowed a bit of time for that before we went to implement our fully online system. So yeah, because it came at a time of such kinds of adjustments also, and that was part of the difficulty of the process.
Dr. Vea, we understand that the Malayan schools have high schools as well.
Senior high schools.
Senior high school. What I'd like to ask is, what are some of the best practices that you would advise, especially for schools with high schools? Because I understand it's a different age group, no? Different age limit, different needs, different requirements. But before you answer that, let's pause for a break from our sponsors.
Okay.
This is a very important story. The important story.
Pictures and stories.
Today, we feel the weight of history on our shoulders.
The way we have been moving leads nowhere. We need to change course.
Since the United Nations was founded, the human race has never had to face a set of challenges like we do right now. But together, we can overcome them.
Magsha-shopping na lang ako! #143SM. Call to deliver.
Hello, can I get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slides, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my...
#143SM. Call to deliver.
Wait lang. Okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver.
Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa... cancel ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call #143SM. Call to deliver. #143SM. Call to deliver. Call #143SM. #143SM. Call to deliver.
Call na rin kayo.
Call to deliver.
Hello, and we're back. I'm Francine Marquez, and I'm with
Kathy Amit.
and this is PairFect. And before we had our break, we were asking our guest, Dr. Reynaldo B. Vea of Mapua University, what are some of the best practices of his school, and what, especially his advice for schools with junior and senior high schools. Dr. Vea?
Well, basically, we had not really differentiated our treatment of the senior high school and the college. Even our junior high school, we did not really particularly actually look at the differences because, as you may know, these young guys are also what we call digital natives, and they are very adept at handling technologies. We employ the same best practices in blended learning, such as self-paced learning, gamification, flipping of the classroom, These things we also do in our senior high schools. Multiple attempts, for example, these are all principles of blended learning. So I would say that we just put trust in our students and our faculty members that they'll be able to handle the new methodology, and in fact they have for a number of years now. Senior high schools, these are already 17 and maybe 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are very good in online technologies. Even the junior high school, we have transitioned there to online education without much problem. I guess maybe, but they're also good in fulfilling the requirements and in being able to make use of the resources that we make available to them. So you see, instead of just the learning management system, we have subscribed to vast libraries of electronic materials, and these are open to all our students. Some of them they use directly in the classroom, but some of them they may in fact be outside of the curriculum, but they can view them as well because we are subscribed to these large databases.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear, Dr. Vea. But from what you've shared to us earlier, it seems like Mapua has done better and adjusted well during the pandemic. So on the government side, what do you think could have been done better?
Well, this much I have to say, that the Commission on Higher Education and the Department of Education, they've been very understanding of they understand the situation to the extent that, they allowed a lot of flexibility for the schools to offer a flexible mode of education. And they have extended this beyond the end of the previous school year. Well, they're extending, to the extent that I know, support to state universities and colleges, for example, to help them also with their efforts to go online. So they've listened to our concerns, no? And I don't think there's much we can complain about in that regard. So they're also helping students financially through these tough times, and so the level of support we've been getting, I say, would be sufficient from government. Yeah.
Dr. Vea, we all know that school life plays an important part of young people today because it helps them shape their future as well as they try to achieve their own dreams and find their spot in this world. Besides their academic needs, how else is Mapua University addressing perhaps the mental wellness of our students, especially amidst this pandemic? Are there special programs that the school is promoting right now?
Well, we never closed down our center for counseling, and even our health office has been open, and it has been open all the while. So our students know that they are free to consult anytime. In fact, we also subscribe to telehealth from one provider. So we've given them as much support as we could. But that is on the passive side, no? That they can come to us with their issues, with their problems, and we'll always be there to help them. On the active side, we're trying to use social media so we have some semblance of community life. We have a professor at Malayan Colleges Laguna, for example, who organizes such events online. No academics, just socializing among the students. And we continue to look at those kinds of activities and implement them as far as we could, no? And well, our Mapua Cardinal Singers, and I think this has been in vogue. They also produce some materials that they make available to all our students. Our School of Media Studies, they put online a lot of the movies that have been produced by the students and our faculty members, some of them award-winning, and you know, for the entertainment of the community. And well, this Christmas we are also looking to have some community activities online. And also we are giving them a break, 1 week breaks sometime during this term, you know, so they can be free from their academic duties. So we are mindful that these are very stressful times for everybody, even for us. So yeah, we try to find ways to ease it up a little bit on our academics to the extent that we think is necessary.
Dr. Vea, you recently offered fully online degrees at Mapua University. Do you think this is going to be the new normal moving forward? Is it going to be sustainable?
Well, in our case, we know that it's going to be sustainable. But I think the outlook is that when the pandemic is over, for sure there will be a lot of online classes, but there will also be a reinstitution of the in-person classes. That will become a more sustainable arrangement for everybody. But in our case, we have 6 fully online bachelor's degree programs that have been approved by the Commission on Higher Education for offering starting the school year. In fact, we started 3 weeks ago. We based on our experience, we think that we can sustain this. In a certain way, you know, the experience on online can also be very enriching. Like with online programs, we've been able to integrate micro-credentials. So apart from a Mapua diploma, or on top of a Mapua diploma, our students gain micro-credentials from MOOCs providers and from universities abroad, like Georgia Tech, and you know, even the TU Delft in the Netherlands. Our students are able to take micro-credentials from these schools, even as I speak. So with such offerings and courses, to which are given badges, if you apply to LinkedIn, you're given a badge for these short courses, then there's a lot of value that is offered to our students. And if we're able to master the balance of asynchronous and synchronous mode, then we think that we can sustain the effort. In fact, we already have fully master's online programs, 8 of them, and the enrollment has grown. We started with 8 students, but now it's much more than that. And we think we'll be able to sustain it.
Dr. Vea, I'd like to ask typically what these six fully online bachelor's degree programs are and why?
Well, we have computer science, information technology, industrial engineering, computer engineering, electronics engineering, and electrical engineering. Why?
Yes.
Because these are the programs that do not need what we call wet laboratories. The laboratories could be delivered basically totally online. Even in electrical and electronics engineering, we can send via courier materials to our students on which they can perform experiments or construct something, assemble something, and then send it back to us via courier for assessment. So we started with these 6 programs that do not require wet laboratories or that can do with online labs.
Dr. Vea, Mapua University is one of the pioneers of the quarantine term. Are you still imposing it, especially with this new setup that we have right now?
Yes, we are still on the quarter system, and it's working just well for us. I think maybe one thing that people should understand in this case is, okay, it's an 11-week term versus a semester which could be a 16-week term. It's shorter, so you have 4 terms in 1 year instead of two terms. On the other hand, maybe somebody from UP or Ateneo or LaSalle might not understand this. The number of courses taken is 4 or 5 in a quarter. Whereas you go to some other schools, they may be taking 7 or 8 subjects in a semester. So while the pace may be faster, the number of subjects is smaller. So the student doesn't shift gears a lot, no? Doesn't shift gears every time when you're studying 7 or 8 subjects. So where we have traded the pace for focus, and our students are much more focused on their subjects, as I think they would be under a semester system. So yes, we are on a quarter system and online at that.
Dr. Vea, Mapua University has been well prepared for this pandemic because it has been doing a lot of digital work already. It has already launched its digital culture way before the coronavirus crisis happened. On the part of the educators, are there new skills that have to be learned, or what are the new mindsets that are being applied right now by the educators of your school? But before you answer that, Dr. Vea, let's take a short break from our sponsors.
Okay.
Click, that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap, walang hirap, it's a wrap. Just tap the app. Now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the ring apps are the in thing, you know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use, mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now.
Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Good morning, sir. How may I help you?
Bakit kailangan ko pang pumunta sa bangko?
Oo nga naman, sir. Ba't kailangan pang pumunta sa bangko?
Why not get a UB app so you can do all these without going to the bank? Bank the way you live. Union Bank.
Welcome back, and this is PairFect. I'm Francine Marquez, and I'm with my co-host. Yes, and today we're talking to Dr. Reynaldo Vea of Mapua University. Dr. Vea, before we had our break, I was asking you, What about the mindset of our educators, and are there new skills that they have to learn or must learn because of this new normal?
Well, definitely. I think the most important thing would be the shift from teacher-centered to learner-centered outcomes-based education. So, you know, we're redefining the process of teaching and learning. It's not just, you know, I'm a teacher, I have notes in my yellow pad, I write this on the blackboard or whiteboard, the student copies it, so my notes in my yellow pad gets transferred to his notebook. I taught under that kind of system, and you know, you explain the lesson to the students and so on, but basically the notes get transferred, no? Under online system of education, the teacher will have to adjust somewhat in terms of giving more responsibility to the learner in the learning process. But he has to be good also as a facilitator of learning. In other words, the student will also depend on him for his superior knowledge, for his wisdom, but he has to be able to transmit that quite in a different way. So he will facilitate the learning of the student. Maybe not totally just Socratic learning, but it could be experiential learning, devising teaching and learning activities where the teacher allows the student the experience of a certain activity so that the lesson gets etched in his mind a little bit better than if it were just a lecture. So experiential learning is something, and also he has to learn the various best practices of blended learning, which I mentioned earlier, how to gamify lessons, how to do it so that the learner is, or there could be self-pacing by the learner, so that there could be multiple attempts. This is a principle of outcomes-based learning, so that the student gets to learn the lesson better, no? So there's a whole set of theory behind it. And in fact, right now, as I speak also, we've sent 35 of our officers, faculty members, to get a MicroMaster's degree in instructional design for online courses. While we know we have read the material and applied them as best as we could, we still want to strengthen theory in the practice of online education. So we want to send more for this kind of training. It's online. So the University of Maryland, in fact, and they'll end up with a MicroMaster's degree after 6 months. So we're trying to experience what we are also, what we are offering. And the other thing is, to start, the faculty members also have to get comfortable with the technology, just like I think most of us. I had to get comfortable with Zoom at the start, but you get over that easily. Or making nice PowerPoints and recording your video clips in lengths that are optimal. According to a MOOCs provider, you can have lectures of 6-minute duration, and that would be the optimal length of the lectures that you can incorporate into your syllabus. So the faculty now also, in formulating the syllabus, defines the topic, what is the suitable teaching learning activity, and now we also require them to estimate the data requirement for the lesson. So we know that we are not making it too hard on our students when they purchase data. So we're that's part of the responsibility of the professor nowadays. The syllabus looks a bit different from what it used to be. There are more elements there. the outcomes and the types of teaching learning activity and data requirements and so on. But, we have to learn, we have to adjust, we have to adapt, and that's what our faculty members have done.
So our respect for our teachers just got deeper and deeper kasi I remember the days when you think of teacher, it's somebody who holds the chalk and goes to the blackboard and lectures. But right now, it's a whole different kind of world. Multimedia is involved, diba?
Yes.
Some even have to go into acting because they do their own videos. So ibang-iba na ang teacher, diba, Dr. Vea? From what we know from way back then.
Yes.
Oo, so...
Yeah, Dr. Vea, we earlier mentioned your quite impressive scholastic record. You went to Pisay, you went to UP, even became the EIC of Philippine Collegian, and then you went to the States. You were a Fulbright scholar at the UC Berkeley and MIT. You took up naval architecture and marine engineering. So that's quite a lot, actually quite a mouthful, and I myself is impressed. So I'm sure many of the learners and students watching us right now are going to be inspired from pieces of advice or words of wisdom from Dr. Vea.
Well, I never thought that I'd be saying this because they used to tell us this a lot in high school, which is study hard.
2 words.
Study hard.
Yeah, and we were, even when I went to school at MIT, that's a place where they say getting an education is like getting a drink from a fireman's hose. And it's true. You cannot imbibe all of it. But they also say in that place that a lot of success as a student would depend upon how much effort you put into it. So it cannot be native to anyone, to just pick up everything like that. But you have to exert the effort. So that's what I would tell the students out there right now, that basically we go to school to learn. I'm not saying that, there's no place for enjoyment and social life, but not to forget that the principal thing about it is to get an education, to learn things that will be useful for you for the rest of your lives, no? And the usual thing we do, and I did that, I'd be guilty of that also, is cramming.
Talaga ho?
So you just, day before you study everything, and but online education will force you not to do that because of the flipped classroom setup. You have to study first. When you come to class, you already have to bring something with you. And for that, I am really glad that this is being employed not just by Mapua but the other schools that are into online education. They're doing flipped classroom. Ganun yon. So even the faculty members, they cram sometimes, and I told they cannot do that anymore. They have to be very well prepared for lessons in an online setting. So there's joy in learning, and I guess that's what people have to find.
So
simple lang.
Yeah, Dr. Vea, what about for our leaders? You've been in government, you know what it's like, and you're president of a university. Are there any thoughts that you want to say to our leaders right now, or the heads of our educators? What about the bigger picture in terms of Philippine education? Is it still looking bright, or you think there's some struggle involved? What are your thoughts about this right now as president of Mapua University?
Well, for me, as an individual, I've always put the interest of my organization in front of everything else. And I tell myself, I remind myself that if this is what I do, I will never get lost. So, so the first question to us is, what is in the best interest of my organization? Not of individuals in my organization, not of myself, but the interests of my organization. Then that leads to a whole train of thoughts that will enable you to set a vision, set your mission, make your strategic plans, and implement the plans. And that is the basic lesson that that I have learned and I want to impart. For Philippine education in general, well, you know, we suffer basically from a paucity of resources. And if we go after the holy grail of quality in Philippine education, we have to realize that the main stumbling block is the paucity of resources, meaning to say there's only so much that the government can afford to support its colleges and universities. There is only so much that the families that send their kids to private universities can afford. Quality costs. So we have to solve that problem of how to put resources into the educational system. You know, even Singapore, and I used to go there in the 1990s as the dean of the UP College of Engineering, they were complaining that the government were not also giving them resources that they like. But I think after a while, as the economy really grew and grew, they were able to get what they like and build the nice campuses that they have. But they had to fight for the resources as well. So when I was in UP, I asked my president, what should I do? You only give me not so much in order to run my college. It's not even enough to plan anything ambitious. So he told me, why don't you go for the ideal and fight for the resources, which is what I did. And I got the resources that I like, but I had to have a plan to present to government so that they can fund it. You cannot just ask for something and not showing what you want to do with it. In the case of Mapua, I've been very lucky because the philosophy of the owners is also about quality and the social return on investments. So we've been able to do a lot in improving the quality of education in Mapua. At the same time, be able to give something back to society in terms of our contributions to manpower development and giving quality people to industry. So that's the problem we really have to solve for Philippine education. We have a lot of graduates, but we have to raise the level of quality of our education system. Not for lack of effort, but maybe we have to deploy better strategies to be able to raise the necessary resources. I know that education, I think, gets a lion's share of the national budget. But I guess the economy will have to grow some more. And maybe just as in the case of Singapore, it's really the growth of the economy that spurred the growth of their schools, no? And you see, maybe it's a vicious cycle that we have to break. Lack of quality resources maybe constrains the growth of the economy. The growth of the economy constrains the training of the resources that we need. If we wanted to transition into an innovation-driven economy, we have to pass through the investment-led economy And under that stage, we have to have a lot of very highly trained scientists and engineers. And so now we do not have the mass, we do not have the critical mass of research scientists and engineers. It will take us, I don't know, maybe 10 years to be able to get to that point if we put our app together, no? So it's not just an education problem. It's a matter of the entire framework of socio-economic development of our country.
Dr. Vea, we've been asking you questions about your leadership at Mapua University. We want to find out more about what makes you tick. How did you become president of Mapua University? Did you grow up in a family of educators?
Well, yeah, my mother, who's 94 years old now, used to be the head of the humanities department at the Philippine Science High School. But she came after me, huh? And my father also used to teach in Bataan after the war. He used to teach there, but actually ended up being an agriculturist for the government. But they're both civil servants, and you know, you grow up a family, civil servants, well, in my case, I got attracted to the teaching profession. And I knew that would suit me, that would really suit me best. And, you know, when I graduated from college, UP College of Engineering, they were recruiting me into the faculty. And they said, look, the salary of a faculty member is higher than that of an engineer in this design firm. They were not telling me that the slope or the growth of salary was much lower.
But still, you stayed on in the education sector. What kept you going?
Yeah.
What was the driving force that made you stay?
Well, I really enjoy teaching, that's for sure. And it afforded me the opportunity to study abroad. I would not have been able to study abroad. No way could I or my family afford it to get my graduate education. And I guess that was also part of the momentum. You get a graduate degree, you become more predisposed to the teaching profession. And yeah, that's how it was. And I was actually inducted into the administrative side of it rather early. I was dean at 42 years old. That's because the dean before me was recruited to be head of the National Power Corporation, and I was his associate dean. I had to take over, and then they also drafted me or conscripted me into MWSS. And one quiet afternoon in MWSS, when we had mainly dealt with the issues of transition to a privatized setup, I got a call from the new owners of Mapua. And I've been in Mapua since the year 2000. So that's the story.
Yeah. And this is the part where Dina, my co-host, would say, it's time for our Boy Abunda question. Pero Dr. Vea, just a last question. Do you have a motto in life? Especially right now, yeah, or a quote that you live by?
Plenty. Not just one, not just one quote actually.
Share it
but
with us.
It's just well, if you might say, I did not really have a plan that I laid out for myself in life, but the opportunities came just at the perfect time, and I took opportunity of this, and I prepared myself basically by way of getting formal credentials, and also by working hard. As Malcolm Gladwell says, 10,000 hours, di ba? Even the Beatles had to perform 10,000 hours in a Hamburg club, even before they came great, di ba? I'm not saying I became great, but I've tried to put in many hours in whatever work I've landed, and that is it. So maybe work hard. Same as study hard is also work hard for me. On the professional side of things. On the personal, maybe there are other things that I can say.
Can you give us one?
Well, on the personal side of things also is, well, for me, it is to be, don't know if it's perfect English, to be giving of those you love. Yun lang.
Yeah.
Tama ba English ko?
Tama naman ho. Well said, Dr. Vea. Well, we would have wanted to talk to you some more. I bet you're a Beatles fan. So
You bet.
yeah, but it's time to go.
Yes.
We'd like to thank you, Dr. Vea, for those incredible life tips and for being an inspiration for us today, for our teachers and for students right now. And with that,
Okay, my pleasure, Francine and Kat.
thank you.
Thank you very much
Dr.
for
Vea.
accommodating me.
And Kat, I'd like to thank you as well for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Miss Dina.
Yes, we miss you, Dina. See you next week, promise. So on that note, I'm Francine Marquez,
And I'm Kathy Amit.
and this has been PairFect.
Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.